With me now is Republican Texas Congressman Pat Fallon. So, Congressman, first, thank you for being with me here. So, I'm sure it was a late night for you, and this funds the government to March 14th. Does this, and it does not suspend the debt ceiling. Is this really what the country needs then?
Well, what we really need is to get to that, just a small bridge over a small brook, really, Edward, to get to Republican unified government. And if we're really going to tackle the debt and deficits, we have to have people in the room that are serious about it. And my goal next year and for the next several years is to reduce the debt to GDP ratio. So I wanted to give President Trump the runway to come in and not have to immediately worry about funding the government. So this gives us that 90-day runway. And I think that the American people on November 5th spoke, and now we have to deliver.
Yeah. Sources are telling Fox's Aisha Hasni that President-elect Trump is not that happy about the bill because it does not suspend the debt ceiling, but he did not loudly voice opposition to this bill. Are you concerned about his concern?
Well, certainly we're a team, as I've been saying, and he's the quarterback, and we want to all be able to work together well, and he's going to call the plays, and we're going to go and execute. But the thing is, we get sworn in on January 3rd, Edward. He doesn't get sworn in until January 20th. So we do have that 2.5 weeks to take care of that. We could suspend the debt ceiling for a year or more, so we can again focus on in the Limit Safe Grow Act we had a couple of years ago. That was something that did reduce the debt to GDP ratio, and that's what we need to be doing.
So this bill also includes some extra spending, $100 billion for federal disaster relief and $10 billion to extend the Farm Bill. Is this money well spent? Should this have been included?
Well, yeah, just because this is an act of God. I mean, this is an emergency that nobody foresaw. We have to take care of Americans that, due to no fault of their own, had their lives turned upside down. And with the farmers, if we don't support the farmers and ranchers, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Remember, during COVID, they're essential. They put food on our tables, and they are subject to the whims, unfortunately, of act of gods as well. So it's something to get them through, and then we have to pass a 5-year farm bill next year as well.
Right. So, I want to zero in on that $100 billion in disaster relief. Now, where does that money go? And is it necessarily because, FEMA provides about $1 billion to organizations that provide migrant crossings who are crossing the borders illegally, with transportation and housing services. So I want to be clear, there's no diversion of money that FEMA is saying, but I'm curious if FEMA just doesn't have enough money to go around, and that's why they needed this extra needed some of this extra $100 million.
Well, FEMA should not be spending a dollar on anything like that. And come January 20th, I don't think that they will any longer, because that just encourages people to cross the border illegally. I came to Washington to try and do two things to balance the budget. And I know that's pushing a big boulder up a pretty large mountain, but try to do that and also secure the border. And what Joe Biden has done in the last 4 years is neither. In fact, he's exacerbated both issues. We have larger deficits. And as a result, larger debt, and we have a wide open southern border. And that's why Kamala Harris lost handily in November.
So I want to switch gears here quickly and ask you about the attack in Germany. Now, you're on the Armed Services Committee. 5 are dead in that awful act. With the border policy over the past 4 years, does this attack in Europe cause you pause for this holiday here in the U.S.?
Edward, great question. And yes, 100%. That's one of the reasons why you want to secure your border, because you have to protect your citizens. Because if you're not safe, then you're not free. And we have 10 million people under Joe Biden over the last 4 years that have come to this country illegally, and we don't know who they are. And in Texas alone, over the last 13 years, we have had 513,000 crimes. 299,000 illegal immigrants have been charged with those crimes, resulting in 187,000 convictions. And that's just in Texas. You can imagine what that number is if you extrapolate the number over the other 49 states.
Yeah, and one more in the last 30 seconds we have. You're on a subcommittee that you're on, it's national security. Have you heard anything that we need to be aware of over the next 2 weeks as Americans then?
Nothing's specific, but when you have, again, all those folks that have, and all these threats and folks that you do know who they are in your country. And it's not just folks from Mexico or Latin America, they're from all over the world. Chinese nationals have exploded as well. And I don't think every one of them are coming here for the American dream. Some may be very loyal to Beijing, unfortunately.
Yeah, Representative Pat Fallon from Texas, appreciate it. Thank you very much. You have a safe and Merry Christmas.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.